All right. Thank you all for being patient. I'll jump into the next talk. I'm Sahil from Karma3 Labs, and we're building a reputation protocol for Web3 and crypto. And I think today you've seen already a lot of discussions about decentralized identity and decentralized reputation. I want to spend the next 15 minutes just to give you some insight on the things we've been building and how we think about the complex topic of reputation. So the topic of this talk is building decentralized reputation for open communities. And finally, we have an open data layer. The panel prior to this talked about all this open data using attestations. Now the key question is, how do you actually make sense of it? How do you make it work for real use cases? So we recently published an essay on the design principles of decentralized reputation systems, which you can take a look after at your own convenience. But I thought I'll use this time to just share some key ideas and key messages we captured and show you something cool, which we've built already. It's in production and is a good teaser to how we can use reputation algorithms for crypto use cases. So I'll jump right in. I think the first thing which I want to highlight is that reputation is inherently social and built on P2P trust. And I brought this idea up earlier in the day as well, that really how we think about reputation is how we feel people we know or people we trust say something about certain things, people. You want to hire someone, you want to go and check out a restaurant review, you want to go and get recommendations for your next trip. We depend on people who've done that before. And there's almost like this social transitive trust layer that we depend on day to day. And we should not forget that that's true even for Web 2 and Web 3. And we have to build with it, not try and change human behavior just to use on-chain data. And that's something that we feel like we as an industry need to really be thoughtful about. The second thing, key message is curation is the most boring thing to do. How many of us are Reddit mods? But how many of us are Reddit users? So that's the example. Reddit mods put so much effort and time to actually curate a community. And that is the most thankless job. Of course, they earn some karma, but that is what really helps a community grow in its desired objective, right? And the whole idea is that you have to be thoughtful about how to think about creating these signals. So example, let's go with the Reddit example. I don't want us to only think about Web3 primitives, etc. Let's use real world examples. You go on Reddit, you're searching for something, you go on a subreddit, you see which post is popular, and you see how many people have upvoted or downvoted that post, right? Makes sense? If you see like a post having thousands of upvotes, you would rather just read that and say, hey, this is cool. And then you would also probably see who's the person behind the post. If they are a active user, if they're a contributor, if they have a badge, and you have all these identity signals, right? So the whole idea here is that it takes a lot of effort to even think about how to design that upvote and downvote to make content consumption easy on Reddit. And that's a curated signal, right? If you go on Lens or Farcaster, you go and simply follow people, you go and like comments, or you go and retweet, or you collect a post by paying some digital currency. All of these are also curation signals, which help you figure out how to think about the content that I would like. So one thing that we don't talk enough about is everyone here in the panels today, we all thought about, hey, I want a reputation system for my community. The next thing which is absolutely important is on-chain transactions, identities, attestations are all the data. The data layer for reputation compute is all there. And we can use it. We can leverage it. There are on-chain signals which are already there. You came here, you got a POAP from RepConnect. That's one signal. you might go and start following each other on Farcaster and Lens. That's another signal, right? And you could just say, hey, I totally distrust Sahil from today's session. I don't like anything that he said. And you go and maybe issue an attestation on any of those attestation providers. All of these are cool signals, guys, to build reputation. And I think we need to think about these and use them properly. And we have all the primitives, like I said in the morning. We have the primitives to issue attestations. We have the ability to index and read data from any smart contract on any chain. And we have ability to keep some of these private and off-chain. We have ability to actually store these on-chain or off-chain. So there's a lot of that already done. And then the next thing is reputation compute. Really, how does it work? We talk about reputation, but what problem does it solve for us as users? To my Reddit example, we're looking for content we trust, we can read and find some information. It helps really in search and discovery. Google was actually the first one. You know, the algorithm for the early days of the internet was PageRank. And we're using EigenTrust, which is an offshoot of PageRank. And really the algorithm of web was, there will be billions of web pages online. Can you please help people find something they are looking for on the internet? As simple as that. Without asking their friends. Like, how do we move away from asking friends to yellow pages to Google search, right? And that's the evolution that we've seen. And here, if you have reputation of websites, you would be able to search things. If you have reputation of people, you would be able to know who to fund, vote for, and stuff like that, right? And then you could also say, hey, I only want to trust people I follow on Lens or Farcaster. And whichever DAOs they're joining, that's it. So you can see that there's a lot of search, discovery, personal experience, which is not controlled by what Apple, Google, Twitter want to show you. And I think that's where we have a fair shot now that we have the crypto rails to build these experiences for users, right? So I think what I want to capture here is really what users want is, I want to be able to search, find, and do a transaction safely on a marketplace. But the other side of the equation is you want to see if these users are trustworthy and how do they earn their reputation. And that's really kind of the yin and yang of creating this evolutionary reputation system, right? And I think one thing that I mentioned this morning as well is bootstrapping something is hard. Like the early days of even PayPal, eBay, Amazon, Google, all these consumer experiences which have become big, right? It was hard. Where do you start? You start with smaller micro communities. You start with people you already know. You start with people who own a certain POAP. So I think our expectation for reputation systems also need to be, reputation during the bootstrapping phase is different from reputation, how it will evolve when the system is in steady state. So when you have 100 million people on Reddit, the upward and downward system works. But in the early days, when you have 500 people, you actually need to see who are these people. And am I reading something from like, do I have information about these people? Do they have a POAP? Do they, have a certain attestation from Coinbase? Or do they, is it an address which Vitalik has interacted with? The cool part is all the data is now available. But now how we think about bootstrapping and steady state is slightly different. All right, so let's move away from some of the boring theoretical stuff to some concrete stuff, what we've done. So one of the use case which became very clear to us is social networks, which have a lot of data. They have a native social graph already. It's based on who you follow or what content you like, comment, engage with. Any action there is an attestation really, right? So we thought, let's help networks like Lens, Farcaster, let's help them in figuring out which are trustworthy profiles, which are spam profiles, right? A real problem. You don't want a lot of spammers to like and engage with you on some of these social networks. And hey, can I be a part of a specific community? I want to see who are the popular new users, or I want to see who are the people who are interested in photography and art, right? So I want to create custom feeds, and I cannot do any of this on Twitter. My notifications on Twitter are filled with spammers right now. like them tagging, them doing whatnot. So what we did here is we created recommendation system purely using lens data, and we were able to create different kind of feeds here. And before I come to that, I think I just want to mention one more. What is this recommendation based on? Who you follow, what you're liking, it's really not based on what lens wants to show you. It's based on what we think is a useful, formula for seeing what you would like. So we used a linear algebra algorithm here. We use it's a constrained machine learning algorithm, EigenTrust, and these are the actions on lens: follows, comments, mirrors, NFT collect, and if you've paid for an NFT of collecting something, we use this algorithm, and we were able to create kind of a graph, and then we use it to power recommendations. So that's a real utility of repetition. I think someone asked in the last panel is, how do we see repetition being used in real apps today? Ranking recommendation is a great first starting point, right? So let me quickly go back to the feed. So here you can see, so we've created 4 different feeds for this demo, and this is all live. It's all being also used by some of the top clients, third-party app developers on Lens. This is a feed recent, the most recent posts that you would see on Lens, right? And you could just have that by default. If you had 0 recommendation, then this is what you would see. Now, we used our algo and we created a feed purely for photographers and art community. You could choose which community do you actually care about and you trust, and this feed is purely for that. You can see this is probably from, this is probably from yesterday or today, 12 hours ago. And this feed already discounts spammers. So if a spam account is publishing mid-journey content, that should not make it here. It should be really quality curated feed that you care about. That's where profile ranking comes in, right? So I'll quickly go to the next one. This is another interesting one. Many times we just don't want to see what our friends are posting. I want to see who are the cool new people on a social network. We went to Lens and we said, let's pick up all the new users and let's see which high reputable users are interacting with these new users. A new user could just get 1,000 likes by creating 1,000 accounts. But the feed helps you to actually see if a trustworthy, a reputable profile is trusting a new user by following, liking, engaging, and then you can create discovery of new popular users on social networks. Again, using the algo under the hood. This is just to kind of, if we didn't have any algos and we had spammers, we would just see random content, we would not have great consumer experiences. This is, I wouldn't say unsafe consumer experience, but not engaging enough. And this is where recommendation algorithms play a strong role in all of our internet consumer experiences, right? But now this is all can happen in a verifiable way in crypto and crypto networks and communities. So that's a little bit about the feed. Now, something exciting which I always find very fascinating is, okay, this is cool, utility, but how does it actually work, right? And so you can see here, this is your social graph of Lens protocol. We've picked 1,000 hand-curated profiles. All of these are profiles on Lens. So so you can see all of these nodes here are profiles, and that's Stanny, that's the founder of Lens. So this social graph actually really helps you visualize what's happening under the hood. How does the car really work? It's a EigenTrust-powered EigenTrust algorithm which helps you create a network of nodes in this graph, and you find certain profiles as more reputable and certain as less reputable. So you can see here, we picked 1,000 profiles which were curated. We just picked a handful of profiles. And if I go on these green dots that you see, these are nodes. These are profiles which are actually liking, commenting, following these curated profiles. The purple ones are the curated profiles. The green ones are the ones which are engaging with you. the size of the node represents your reputation, your how trustworthy you are with our assumptions, right? And you can see here what cool things you could do is you could go to Stanny's profile and you can actually see who are the top people engaging with Stanny. But this is easy. You can fetch it from Lens. You just have to like have the data. But you can see which of the trustworthy people or which are the highly reputable ranked people are engaging with Stanny. Or are a lot of spammers on Lens engaging with Stanny. Stanny has 61,290 incoming engagements. Follow, like, comment, retweet, mirror, collect, right? But how many of them are actually useful? Because this is where you see so many times on Twitter, people have 100,000 followers, but how many of them are actually real, right? A real pain point that we see. But you could solve this using such algos. And you can see there are certain disconnected people who are probably inactive, but might be cool. So you can see probably Vitalik is here. Now, Vitalik's profile is very interesting. You can see Vitalik's profile has been engaged with 10,000 times, but Vitalik rarely, goes and comments on anyone else's profile. And you can see who are the people who are actually engaging most with Vitalik, what their rank is, and stuff like that. So you could do a lot of cool things once you have access to this data, once you run the algo, and create cool experiences. The point I want to highlight is this is all open, transparent, verifiable. You cannot do this with Twitter. And that's the cool kind of opportunity we have to build these novel experiences. And this is a recommendation reputation layer underneath, right? One last thing I want to show you is you can actually spot Sybil clusters. And you see these set of profiles here not interacting. They might be interacting with each other. You can weed them out. So this is kind of a common pain point across so many of our crypto use cases. You can see some profiles are just like hanging out. They might have high activity, but they're not as quality engaging in some definition. And you could choose to define that definition. I think the cool part is all of us can create our own version of this graph today using our own assumptions. And that's kind of how we see the future. So that was the social graph, open verifiable kind of graph powered by EigenTrust. I want to switch gears. The last part is how to actually build a reputation system from scratch. We're working with MetaMask to power the trust system for MetaMask snaps. And here, this is how it could look like. You have different wallet snaps, and you could see who are the people you trust on-chain using them. Who are the people you trust on-chain saying good things about that wallet or bad things about that wallet. And you can actually use kind of a reputation system for such a use case where you're in an app store, you want to see what a rating review is. This is exactly what we're trying to create with a very human-centered design in mind. And I think one thing that is key is that you already have some of the signals. You have proof of membership, you have VCs, you have DID data, you have soulbound tokens, you have a bunch of it. And you can actually create new schemas, the trust signals, the upvote and the downvote that I mentioned. What if I go and like a particular snap, you follow me on Lens protocol, you should be able to see that, hey, I like the snap, so you can trust that snap more now. So this is how it looks like, where it's a graph, it's verifiable. You can see nodes connected with each other. You can see what they're saying about each other. And that is what really powers reputation in decentralized communities. And the last slide is, this is the whole tech behind it all, is our protocol architecture. We're building a verifiable compute layer using algorithms like EigenTrust, PageRank. EigenTrust is an inspiration from PageRank, but set up for a distributed, decentralized, execution setup. And then, yeah, if you obviously want to chat more, we'd love to, talk more about how we do this. Yeah, like I said, reputation is a word that I've been overusing in the last year, and hopefully for many more to come. But thanks, and thanks for being patient through the talk, guys.